This is Miss Humbert here. Sorry I couldn't be here today, so we're going to kind of talk through this quiz review so that you make sure you understand what we're doing going into that quiz today. So remember, the first thing when you see a quadratic like this, you want to set up the x. Okay, our a coefficient is equal to 1, our b is equal to 7, and our c is equal to 1. Remember, a is always with the squared term, b is with the x term, and c is a thing that's just a number. So we're going to multiply a times c in order to get the top of our quadratic. So we're taking 1 times 1, which is going to be 1. So we're multiplying to 1 and adding to 7. Well, let's take a look at these. The only things that add to 1 are 1 and 1. Well, 1 is never going to add to 7, so this is one of those that we're going to write NF. NF means not factorable. So if something doesn't work out, if we can't get the x to work, then we say it's not factorable. And it would help if I could spell right. Okay, let's take a look now at number 2. So for number 2, we're going to set up our x. Okay, our a, for number 2, this is 4, is equal to 3, our b is equal to 8, and our c is equal to 5. So we're going to take and we're going to multiply 3 times 5. So we're multiplying to 15 and adding to 8. Well, let's take a look at some of the things that multiply to 15. We have 3 and 5 and 1 and 15. Well, 3 plus 5 equals 8. So if you guys have your multiplication charts, feel free to use that as we're going through this. Let's take a look now. So now that we've gotten that done, we're going to rewrite out the equation. But this time, instead of writing 8x, I'm going to write it as 5x plus 8x plus 5. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, this shouldn't be an 8. Silly me, that should be a 3. Okay, that was my fault coming from there. I was wondering why that wasn't working out so nicely for me. Okay, so now we want to factor by grouping. So out of the first group, we can only take out an x. Between x squared and x to the first, we can take out an x. So we're going to divide each of these terms by x. Well, when we do that, our 3 stays the same. X squared divided by x should just be x. For our next one, x over x is going to cancel out, and we're just left with 5. Between 3x and 5, there's no GCF. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out a GCF of 1. So I remember that that 1 is there, but that doesn't change the value of the problem. So here our leftovers are matching, so we can go ahead and factor those out. So we take out that 3x plus 5. When we take out that 3x plus 5, we're left with x plus 1. So we can go ahead and factor out x plus 1. So this right here is your answer for number 2. Let's take a look at number 3. So for number 3, to set up our x, we're going to take our a coefficient and multiply it by our c. So 1 times negative 16 is negative 16. Then we're adding to that middle coefficient, which is 6. So we're multiplying to negative 16 and adding to 6. So let's write out the things that multiply to 16. Well, we have 1 and 16. Now, since it's a negative, 1's going to be negative 6, then I have this, and I have 2 and negative 8. So if you can see this without writing out the factors, that's fine. But sometimes writing out the factors helps a little bit. So I see that negative 2 and 8 are going to give me the 6 that I want. So now I'm going to rewrite this equation. So instead of writing 6x, I'm going to write negative 2x plus 8x minus 16. And now I'm going to factor by grouping. That's what we've been doing all this unit. So I'm going to make my two groups. Between x squared and x, I can divide out an x. So I'm dividing each of these terms by x. Well, x squared divided by x is just x. Okay? Negative 2x divided by x, well, those x's are going to cancel, and you're just left with negative 2. So then between 8 and negative 16, we can divide out an 8. So now I'm dividing each of those terms by 8. 8x divided by 8 just leaves me with x. Negative 16 divided by 8 gives me negative 2. So here, our leftovers are matching. So I can go ahead and I can pull out that x minus 2. So once I've got rid of those leftovers, I'm going to write what's left after that, which is going to be x plus 8. That should be an 8. Okay, so this right here is my final answer for number 3. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 4. If it'll let me here. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. All right, so let's take a look at number 4. So for number 4, we're going to take 2 and multiply it by negative 15. So again, we're going to have a negative top. 2 times negative 15 is negative 30, and adding to 7. So let's take a look at the things that multiply to negative 30. So we have to have a positive and a negative product because our top of our x is negative. So we have 1 and negative 30. Negative 1 and 30. Okay, neither of those add up to 7 yet. 2 and negative 15, that's negative 13. Negative 2 and 15, no, that's positive 13. Then we have 3 and negative 10. Okay, that's a negative 7. We're getting close. Negative 3 and 10. Well, negative 3 and 10 add to 7. So I have a positive 10 and a negative 3. Remember, it doesn't matter what order you put it in the x, okay? That won't matter. So now we're going to take and we're going to rewrite this quadratic, and we're going to split up that middle term. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I have 2x squared. Now I'm going to, instead of writing 7x, I'm going to write 10x, then minus 3x, and then minus 15. So now I'm ready to factor by grouping. So I'm going to make my groups here and here. So between 2x squared and 10, I can divide out a 2 and an x. And then I'm left with x plus 5 when I do that. Now here I have a negative GCF. So that means I need to take out a negative since that sign in the middle is negative. So between negative 3 and negative 15, I can divide both by a negative 3. So negative 3 over negative 3 just leaves me with x. Negative 15 divided by negative 3 is going to become positive, and it's going to leave me with a 5. So if you check here, our leftovers are matching, so I can go ahead and factor out that x plus 5. And then, oops, we took out a GCF of negative 3 here. So once I get rid of that, I'm left with 2x minus 3. So 2x minus 3 and x plus 5 are our final answers for number 4. Let's take a look at number 5. So for number 5, we're going to multiply for our x. So 5 times a negative 2 is a negative 10. So we're multiplying to a negative 10 and adding to 9. So let's take a look at what multiplies to 10. We have 1 and negative 10, negative 1 and 10. Well, I don't need to go any further. Negative 1 and 10 adds to 9. So now I'm ready to make my grouping. I keep the first term the same, and then I'm going to split up this middle term with the two terms that I have in my x. So this is really still 9x. And now I'm ready to factor by grouping. So I'm going to make a group and a group. So between 5x squared and 1x, I can only take out an x. So now I'm dividing each of these terms by x. And then I'm left with 5x. Here the x's cancel, and I'm left with a negative 1. Well, here, between 10 and negative 2, I can take out a 2. So I'm coming through and I'm dividing each of these terms by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and then I'm left with 5x. Negative 2 over 2 is going to leave me with a negative 1. Make sure you know that that doesn't divide to 0. So my leftovers are matching, so I can go ahead and factor those out. And once I've pulled those out, I'm going to write what's left after that, which is x plus 2. So this right here is our final answer for that one, 5x minus 1 and x plus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this. And we're going to go back and take a look at number 6 now. So for number 6, let's go ahead and set up that x. So we're going to take 1 times 24. So we're multiplying to 24 and adding to 10. So since both are positive, then both our factors need to be positive. Let's take a look at what multiplies to 24. We have 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. So the two that are going to add to 10 are going to be 4 and 6. So now I'm going to use that to split up that middle term. So I'm going to keep the first term the same, and I'm going to split up my middle term as 4x plus 6x. And now I want to factor by grouping. So between x squared and 4x, I can divide out an x, and I'm left with x plus 4. From between 6 and 24, I can divide out a 6, and I'm left with x plus 4. So now I can check and see what's matching. So these leftovers are matching, so I can factor those out. And once I get rid of those, I'm going to write what's left after that, which is x plus 6. So my final answer for number 6 is x plus 4, x plus 6. Now let's take a look at those last two problems. So this first one, it says solve by elimination or substitution. Well, to me, number 7 is set up very easy for elimination. My y's have the same number with opposite signs. So I can go ahead and I can add down the columns. So 2x plus 3x is going to give me 5x. Y minus y is going to cancel out. 7 minus 2 is 5. So now I just have to solve for x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5, and I get that x is equal to 1. So now I know that x is equal to 1. X and 1 are the same thing. So where I see x up here, I can plug in 1. So I have 2 times 1 plus y is equal to 7. So now I'm going to solve that for y. So this is the same as 2 plus y is equal to 7. So since this is a positive 2, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, and I get that y is equal to 5. So now I want to write my answer out as a coordinate point. First my x value, and then my y. So this right here is my final answer for number 7. Let's take a look at number 8. So there's only 8 questions on this quiz review and this quiz, which is pretty nice. Okay, so let's take a look at number 8. So for number 8, x is equal to 2y. So x and 2y are the same thing. So where I see x down there, I can substitute in 2y. So 2y, so I take the x out completely. So then I get 2y plus 3y is equal to 10. Again, since x is equal to 2y, I can remove that x down here. So now 2y plus 3y is 5y is equal to 10. Then we're going to divide both sides by 5 since it's being multiplied by the y. And then we get that y is equal to 2. So y and 2 are the same thing. So since y is equal to 2, where I see y up here, I can plug in 2. So then I get 5 times 2, or sorry, is that 2? Sorry, 2 times 2. 2 is from the problem. Then I get 2 times 2 for my x value. So all I'm going to do is take 2 times 2, which is 4. And now I'm going to write my answer out as a coordinate point, first my x, and then my y. So this right here is your final answer for number 8. So that concludes your note video. If you didn't understand something, try watching it again, and then you can show the substitute when you're done and get your quiz. Remember to stay silent till everyone is finished. Thanks for listening, guys.